This is Dolynny TV, friends. Welcome back to episode 4 of our NHL 26 Edmonton Oilers Franchise Mode. Glad to have you aboard here today, as obviously we are closing in on the trade deadline, the Olympic break over, only the trade deadline a few days away here in NHL 26. Leon Draisaitl leading the pack for the Edmonton Oilers with a nice 69 points. Obviously, the Oilers getting some goaltending, as you see on that right-hand column of stats. Second best in goals against average in the NHL. Power plays clipping along at 4th, and the penalty kill, well, it could be better, but it has been worse. You see here the Oilers lead the Pacific Division, and technically all over the place here are about the 3rd, 2nd, depending on the day, best team in the NHL as of this Wednesday, February 25th. As we'll get things going here in the next little bit. Looks like I got a party invite to get to here, so we'll hurry up this episode and get through it. But Leon Draisaitl with 69 points. Bouchard with 57, your leader so far on the back end. Draisaitl with 33 goals. Bouchard with 46 assists. Ike Howard having a heck of a rookie season with 32 points. And Stuart Skinner leading the way for our club with a grand total of 23 wins in 58 games. Well, that amounts to 23 out of 35. So what we get to here is an interesting deal I've thought a good deal about here today, which means, well, let's go quickly take a second to find that trade that the LA Kings offered to us in the last episode. If you caught, let me go here and quickly check this out, as we'll go over here and find our old friend, left winger Warren Foegele. See, the thing is, the Oilers have a little bit of cap space to play with. Foegele, obviously not that much of a trade for the Oilers. A 2nd and a 3rd round pick is all that the LA Kings are asking for here in, well, 2027 and 2027 for the 3rd as well. So let's get this going. Accept the trade. Things are happening now that I've logged on and played some games in NHL World of Chel. So Warren Foegele now part of the team for the Edmonton Oilers, and that in and of itself will interest things here a little bit as we'll go to the head coach preferred lines. That gets Foegele in there. That takes out, of course, one man, Mr. Yeah, you know it, Matt Savoy. For some reason, Curtis Lazar gets the opportunity to play instead of him. What we'll do there is mess around a little bit here and see if this newly loaded up team for the Edmonton Oilers gets the job done. Ike Howard over there, and we're going to load up the 3rd line just like this. For some reason, that's been working no problem. We will, however, flip around Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl to get them there and see if we can't get Zach Hyman, who's had a pretty dang good season himself, down there on that line, and of course Mangiapane to keep feeding off of Nugent Hopkins, and McDavid, who's revived his season here over last episode. So we're rolling here, friends. Of course, if you are new to the channel, tuning into the series, and you've caught episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 now, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Love to talk Edmonton Oilers with you throughout the rest of the season. If you're enjoying today's episode, absolutely leave a like at any time. Let's see what our old friend Warren Foegele can do for us. Now again, I think from a pure standpoint of everybody complains that the Oilers got rid of too much over the past 2 seasons. If you're going to tell me that acquiring Warren Foegele back is unrealistic, well, it's video games after all at the end of the day. So the Anaheim Ducks, do they stand a chance? Well, apparently we do not stand a chance. We lose 2-1 to the Ducks. The LA Kings, we win 6-2. So we maintain first place in the Pacific Division, at least for now. We're out there in California. Best lines as Josh Brown goes down with injury. And obviously the Oilers continue to pile up points here in the month of, well, now March, as the trade deadline technically set for March 6th this year. It's on March 7th. A good guess by the NHL video game there, as we'll continue simming, just simply because we pulled off our trade deadline acquisition ahead of time. There's nobody else I really want to go out there and trade for. Obviously, you know, the Oilers cap space is going to be limited, so fitting in a $3.5 million player, probably about the best we can do. I'm going to get up to this Florida Panthers game, and then we are going to close out this season here in episode 4. Ryan Lomberg on waivers from Calgary. Now that's That's a heck of a player to possibly pick up here. 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in 13 games in Calgary. He's only a 79 overall. I don't necessarily think we need to get him going here, so we are going to decline him as well following the trade deadline. The Flames, it appears, have loaded up the offense a little bit. That will, of course, make things interesting for us, but right out of the gate, we get a victory to start things, and this is exactly why we acquired Warren Foegele. I will warn you right here, there was a reason for it, and that is simply because if things go sideways with an injury, now we have that extra mid-80s player to replace things. So Kasperi Kapanen will ultimately get the chance to slot in. And for some reason, Vasily Podkolzin was also scratched. That is interesting to see there. I totally missed that on first glance. So Podkolzin, who's had a decent year, will slot back into the lineup at least for now. Well, we've got, that's because Vasily Podkolzin might have been injured. I don't know. We'll find out. As Colorado, we win 5-3 right there. I best lines that, so my apologies. I'm going to screw ourselves up for a game or two. Heck, you know what? Simulating happens all too fast nowadays in the NHL video game. So Curtis Lazar back in there. It's probably about the most annoying thing about the roster composition that the Oilers have, and me screwing up the Ike Howard situation, as we'll get Matthew Savoy back in there. We'll get Adam Henrique down there. And we'll get back to business here. As obviously Tomaszek is going to have to come out once Mr. Warren Foegele gets back, and he is back. So Tomaszek's going to come out. And we're going to get Warren Foegele back into the mix. And now again, I didn't explain this right off the hop. I got all confused by the invites. Warren Foegele having a heck of a year as well. 38 points, 18 goals in all that time, as Mangiapane will move down. And we are going to move this across here just like this. And we are going to go here. There we go. That Oilers lineup looks a lot better. We're going to roll 4 lines the rest of the way home here as we try to secure about 7 more victories to make the playoffs. Obviously, the Oilers sitting atop the Pacific Division still, and it's not a bad situation, but we do want to try and make it better here as the 6-4 victory gets us win number 41 of the NHL season. The Oilers doing their job. We'll quickly check stats, and then, of course, whoever on the back end there in the right D spot hasn't played the last several games will get the chance to finish off the season in the last 12. So you see Draisaitl leading the way with 91, 47 goals, 44 assists, 65 for Bouchard and Hyman. McDavid with 56, Foegele with 42 now, and you got Nugent Hopkins up there with 41, Mangiapane 37, Ike Howard having a heck of a rookie season. How about 36 points? Wallman with 31, Nurse with 29, Frederick with 29. The depth scoring on this team, absolutely unbelievable so far this year. That is one thing I will say our strength is going to be in playoffs once we get to simulating there. Podkolzin only truly missed 8 games. Stetcher's played 45. Emberson's played 24. So we kind of evenly close to split it. And, of course, Curtis Lazar. And, Curtis Lazar, 3 points in 23 games. We definitely could have moved him down anytime sooner, and it wouldn't have hurt us, as Tomaszek in there with 39 games as well. We've used a lot of bodies compared to the Oilers standards anyway over the past 5 years. So let's quickly edit the lines and go move around Ty Emberson for a majority of the rest of the way here, unless there are any injuries. And we've been grateful to not have many injuries on the back end. Obviously, this is of concern. You've had Darnell Nurse down there on the second or third pair. And, of course, we do have to have the conversation with Chris Knobloch to roll 4 lines and get this job done. So let's go to the game plan and talk it over as ice time allocation. Let's go over it forwards. Let's see where we're going. I know it's your thing, but let's roll 4 lines. Hey, let's go. We're good. Hey, I'll make the change. That's fine and dandy. Thanks, Chris. Let's get this job done here. We're 10 minutes in here, and we got to hurry up and get this season wrapped up. The Oilers 6 wins away from the playoffs. At least one would figure. The Pacific Division has kind of dwindled off there at the end of the tail end of the season here, as it looks like, the Kings are in tough. And we're going to have to just try and get this job done. So we got several games left here at the end of the year. Florida up right now. Obviously, the Stanley Cup final rematch on home ice this year on March 19th, a 5-4 overtime loss. Hey, nothing new there. 4-2 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that should pretty much do it for the Edmonton Oilers. 2 or 3 more points should secure us a playoff spot, and then we'll be up and ready to rock and roll as the Pacific Division obviously trying to get back to its foothold it had earlier in the year. This division was hotly contested to start the year, and for some reason has dwindled off rather substantially. So here we go. We've got another injury, and we know that means we're going to have to action in David Tomaszek, who, you know what, honestly, I'm going to substitute him in all lines and just move Ike Howard up there on the right side alongside Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. It's been a good year for Howard, but you know what, I don't know about that. 44 points out of Warren Foegele, we've paid to have him up there. So let's, you know what, the line combinations, it's not going to matter much at this point of the season. We should have, in the Pacific Division, first place locked up, although the Flames all of a sudden come in on a heater and get the job going as Zach Hyman quickly returns. So nothing lost there. So let's go see if we can't keep this going. I think they've still got Zach listed as left winger for some reason in NHL 26. I think at some point we're going to realize that he is not, but not this year, at least for now. Is a 4-2 loss there, and our foothold on first place slipping away day by day here against the Calgary Flames. Both of us locking up a playoff win with point number 96 on the season, or playoff berth, sorry. 6-1 loss to Utah, and all of a sudden the goaltending starting to be a little suspect here over the month of March into April. We got 3 games left on the slate right here, right now. The LA Kings, obviously a pivotal one as well. A 6-3 win gets us back in the conversation, but the Flames, due to my lack of care down the stretch, will indeed take home first place in the Pacific Division. They finish with 106. We finish with 100. And a 4-3 win there for the Oilers to close out the year against the, against those guys, the Vancouver Canucks. 82 games played, 104 points for Leon Draisaitl, 52 and 52. More than a point per game season order to the $10.5 million man, Evan Bouchard. And you'll love to see that as, you know what, big money gets big payday on the ice for the Edmonton Oilers. Look at this right here. 83 points, 80 for Hyman in 80 games. That is solid. McDavid climbs up a little bit. Has a heck of a struggle year. But again, if his shooting percentage was anything like Zach's or Leon's, you would have quite a season out of Connor McDavid. Of course, Nugent-Hopkins as well, a struggle fest for a shooting percentage. Foegele finishes with 44 points. Mangiapane 43, 40 for Howard, 36 for Wallman, 34 for Kasperi Kapanen as the Oilers go down the stretch rolling 4 lines, and Kasperi Kapanen finds a way to come up with a 34-point season. Nurse with 31, Frederick with 31, 30 for Savoy, 24 for Matthias Ekholm. Vasily Podkolzin comes in with 23, Henrique with 23. You've got as well David Tomaszek with a fill-in 40-game 12-pointer. Kulak with 10, Stetcher with 45 games played, a total of 8 points, 37 for Ty Amberson, and Curtis Lazar just never got the job done this year. Definitely a wasted contract there for the Oilers, at least in this franchise mode. I guarantee he'll have more than 3 points for the Oilers if he plays at the NHL level this year. And for Stuart Skinner, what a heck of a season. 914 save percentage and a 271 goals against average. He was on it this year, got the job done substantially for us. Only 33 wins. Of course, Calvin Pickard picks up several wins himself, a 307 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. So an improvement from the goaltending department for the Oilers, gets the job done and gets us into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's go figure out who we will face in the first round of the playoffs here, as we'll go day by day here, simulate up and see what the next opponent for the Edmonton Oilers, who finished second, well, I guess if I would have checked the standings, it will be the Vancouver Canucks. So we will play a potential of 8 straight games to either advance or close out the season for the Oilers in episode 5, as that will be the mega episode, friends, as we go the distance to win the cup and, of course, finish the job here on Dolynny TV. We'll go check the Vancouver Canucks stats for the season, And that will wrap it for the shortest episode of the series so far, I guarantee you that. As we'll go quickly down to the Vancouver Canucks, and then we'll check out, of course, the league standings. As Jake DeBrusk finishes with 71 points, Quinn Hughes in there with 70, Pettersson 61, Garland's 55, Cheadle 48, Kane has a heck of a year for the Vancouver Canucks, still only 45 points, Brock Besser 44, Hronek 38, Hoagland 35, and you got, of course, Pettersson, Carlson, and just it kind of just goes downhill from there for the Vancouver Canucks, as they didn't really get maybe as much depth scoring as we did, but some guys definitely played some big minutes for them. It looks like here the Vancouver Canucks defense a little bit maybe weaker than ours in a little bit, as P.O. Joseph there. Yeah, 81 overall. Okay, we might be able to get things going a little bit here, as Max Sasson plays a bunch of games. Atu Ratty plays. Okay, all right. So we'll have to see what game one figures for us. We'll take a look at the Canucks line combinations just so as you know how everything's happening once we get into the simulated games of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was Draisaitl and Matthews atop the NHL for point scoring this season. Ovechkin scores another 50 goals indeed and ends up with 947, 3 shy at 40 years old of 950. So interesting year there for him. Dylan Strome has a heck of a year alongside Alexander Ovechkin with 70 assists. Kind of see this kind of where it ranges down. Bouchard's in there, Kopitar's in there, Fiala's in there, Kadri's in there for the Calgary Flames, who had a heck of a year. We'll check stat by stat for the playoff opponents as we go along. But as we go to say goodbye to this episode rather quickly, let's quickly check the Vancouver Canucks lineup combinations, and then that will do it here on Dolynny TV for episode 4 of the Edmonton Oilers Franchise Mode, as it's Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Besser on the top line. And you see this, the Oilers should substantially have the advantage in these playoffs, as Tobias Whelan is playing left wing for the Vancouver Canucks as a defenseman. Oh boy, are the Canucks really that hard up for D-men or forwards? I'm not sure. 8 minutes 4 seconds, so they must have a laundry list of injuries here, and we'll go quickly check if we can find the injury report for the Vancouver Canucks. Matt Savoy injured until April 19th. He's just playable with a broken nose for some reason, so it's okay. He'll be fine, I guess. I don't know. Didn't even know he was injured, so what do you do? As the Vancouver Canucks, yeah, they got Connor Garland out until April 23rd, I guess. He's unplayable, returning April 23rd. So that should serve us a little bit for at least game 1 of the series. Friends, for right now, though, I appreciate you being aboard here on the ride on Dolynny TV. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and leave a like on your way out. And for right now, friends, that'll do it for me. I am up on out of here.